Today's episode is a replay of episode 65 on the Scratch Golfer's Mindset podcast. It is, to date, of all 128 episodes I have published, the top 3 most downloaded and listened to episode of all 128. The message is timely. The insight and wisdom you will learn in this episode isn't discussed enough elsewhere. When you finally begin to understand what it is I share in this conversation, you're going to unlock a newfound level of clarity, feel more deeply and intensely empowered than ever before to not only take ownership of your life, the direction of it, but to complement that ownership with what matters most. Massive, delusional, consistent fucking action. This episode was published almost a year ago. It's timely with the turn of the new year. It is something that you will greatly benefit hearing over and over, which is why I decided to bring it back to have it serve as a replay for today's episode. So like I always encourage you to do, have something handy to take notes about, because the topic that we're going to discuss in this conversation is one I speak about at great lengths. It's a common thread in a lot of the podcast conversations, yet is also a common topic I explore in my keynote speaking opportunities and workshops. You need to understand it. And I wish you nothing more than the ownership and sense of empowerment several listeners and audience members have gotten from the conversation. So without further ado, let's dive in. Enjoy this flashback replay episode all about resetting, upgrading your internal thermostat. You will only rise to the level of success, the level of money, the level of love and happiness that you believe you are deserving of, that you believe you are worthy of, and that you believe you are capable of. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe that you are worthy, deserving, and capable of breaking 80, shooting under par, winning the club championship, the local Monday qualifier? Do you believe in yourself that you're worthy, deserving, and capable of achieving that which you desire? Welcome back to another episode of the Scratch Golfer's Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salter, the golf hypnotherapist, and you guessed it, today's topic of conversation is all about beliefs. And I think one of the best ways to begin this conversation is bringing back a concept that we've discussed before that truthfully cannot be discussed enough, because those individuals I work with, golf, poker, business, and otherwise, that have already achieved indescribable and incredible amounts of success, this is the concept, the focus that we work on most. It's known as the upper limit problem. You may also know it as a fear of success. And the analogy I like to use to educate on the upper limit problem is incredibly simple. Imagine your success, your financial success, your money, your happiness, the amount of love you seek and desire. Imagine each of these qualities as the temperature in your home, and your internal beliefs and self-worth as the thermostat that controls it. So let's assume you set this level, this temperature for our sake, to 72 degrees. It's really hot outside. The temperature begins to rise past 72. What happens? The thermostat kicks on and cools things down. Conversely, it gets a little chilly, a little frigid. The temperature drops too far below 72, the heat kicks on to warm things up. When you achieve more success, when you shoot too low of a score over a period of 3 to 5 holes, when you earn too much money or happiness compared to what you feel you are deserving, worthy, and capable of, you begin to unconsciously start to cool things down by engaging in an array of self-sabotaging behaviors. You step too far outside your comfort zone, that bubble of familiarity, that bubble of predictability. Your subconscious, with its one primary objective of keeping you safe, is put on high alert. Red flags go out, danger signs go out, because on the other side of your comfort zone, well, it's foreign, it's unfamiliar, it's uncertain, it's unpredictable. And that doesn't vibe too well with your subconscious, so it deploys one of dozens of sabotaging behaviors to bring you back into your comfort zone. And those sabotaging behaviors could also be destructive patterns of thinking, feeling, believing, and behaving. You know them best if you've listened to the pod for a while as destructive mindset programs. And that's a beast of a topic in and of itself. I'm sure it will come up in the next 20 or 30 minutes once more. That's the crux of what I do. These destructive mindset programs are unconscious reactions that are triggered when there is an environmental, mental, or physical or emotional threat, and they're designed to keep you safe and keep you in your comfort zone. Returning to that analogy of the thermostat. When you achieve more success, you shoot lower scores, your handicap drops past a level that you believe you are deserving, worthy, or capable of. This is when self-sabotage begins to enter the equation. We see this play out all of the time on both the macro and the micro level. It's the one-hit wonder on the PGA Tour. Wins a tournament early in his career, you never hear from him or about him again. And I didn't have a moment to pull this stat. It's something I've actually been very curious about. How many individuals in the history of professional golf have won just one tournament? And we could also apply this through the lens of have won just one major. Was it a fluke? Was it an experience and an achievement that was so far outside their comfort zone it never happened again because they didn't actually believe they were worthy, deserving, and capable? We see it within a single round. You know, if you're a 5 handicap as an example, and you're 2 or 3 under on the front 9, you are well outside your comfort zone. You are playing lights out. And you're going to have an uphill climb to finish and score a round under par because you are so far outside that comfort zone of yours that your psychological thermostat is absolutely going to kick on in an attempt to cool you down. I see this with the entrepreneurs and business owners I work with all of the time. They score a huge deal. They make 3 times as much money in a year compared to their previous 5 years. And that opens up the floodgates for doubt, imposter syndrome, uncertainty, chalking it up to luck. It was a fluke. I'm not the one responsible. It was someone else. The stars align. The list goes on and on. But the truth is, the reason for a lack of consistency, a lack of repetitive success, is because you will always continue to fall back to what you believe you are deserving, worthy, and capable of. So let's unpack beliefs a little bit more. What is a belief? The way that I like to think about a belief is actually twofold. You've heard me say this before. We have anywhere between 50 and 70,000 thoughts per day. One way to think about a belief is as an evolution of a thought, of a single thought that you have given significant time, energy, and attention to. So much so, I like to think that that thought becomes elevated, upgraded, it evolves into a belief. Why? Because your brain strives for efficiency, and I'll come back to that in a moment. But perhaps the best way to really explain what a belief is as a filter, a lens through which you see the world, and a filter through which you make every decision and take every action. And again, if we go back to a belief originates from a thought that has been given tremendous amounts of time, energy, and attention, well, eventually they become increasingly immovable. And one reason this evolution happens is to conserve energy, because your brain is always striving for efficiency. And if it recognizes you keep giving the same thought, the same time, or an extreme amount of time, energy, and attention, it's going to make this process far more efficient by ingraining it as part of the lens through which you see the world. And in addition to that, your brain creates beliefs to keep you safe as you navigate this complex, unpredictable world. Having a belief system and belief structure in place helps your brain to better predict and expect elements of life to play out in a particular environment. And that comes back to your subconscious wanting to keep you safe by creating predictability and familiarity. So having beliefs in place about certain aspects of life keeps life predictable and familiar, which is a recipe for safety. So here's where things get interesting. Once a belief is formed, that filter, that lens, though it can work for you, it's almost as if it's wired to work against you. Because once that belief is formed, your brain is constantly looking for evidence to support it so it can reinforce your unique view of the world. And once a belief has been formed, your mind rationalizes it with explanations to justify it further. So, simple example, if you have this belief you always crumble under tournament pressure, well, guess what? You're going to have a very easy time quickly recalling all the moments in your past where you crumbled under pressure. But let's take an even more interesting turn. Your beliefs aren't yours. In fact, it's estimated that roughly 95% of your belief system is formed before the age of 7. So these beliefs are formed during a period in which you are essentially walking open subconscious. Every single waking day, you're in that theta brainwave state, which is that hypnotic state where we can connect directly with your subconscious mind. So for the first 7 years of your life, you've heard it before, you are a sponge. You are absorbing the conscious and unconscious communication, verbal communication, body language, hearing what individuals in your life say. You're heavily influenced by your environment, your elders, your parents, grandparents, relatives, neighbors, those closest to you in your life. So your elders, your environment, and entertainment. Those are 3 core sources of influence that go a long way in shaping your beliefs as you mature into an adolescent and into an adult. It's really interesting to think, it really plants the seed to begin pondering what information, what opinions were you relentlessly exposed to as a young child? And to break this down further, I like to say that we can categorize and identify you have 4 core beliefs that exist. You have beliefs about yourself, beliefs about others, beliefs about life, and the 4th one I've recently begun to include is you also have beliefs about money. I'm going to go in reverse order to further unpack those. Beliefs about money. Phew. I talk about money almost every day, specifically with my clients, a lot with my professional poker players and my business owners, entrepreneurs. We each have our own unique relationship with an attitude toward money. And on an initial coaching call, that first 2-hour deep dive call I do with all of my clients, one of the questions I ask is, what was your mom, and same with your dad's, relationship with an attitude towards money? How are finances not only managed, but how are they talked about? Who was the primary breadwinner? Who was the primary person who managed and budgeted finances? I learned a tremendous amount. My clients learn a tremendous amount because they begin to see the origins for their patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving when it comes to money. Typically, the spectrum of your relationship with money is either you are in the scarcity camp or the abundance camp. And sometimes people are in between because they're trending one direction or another. But it's fascinating how much of your beliefs about money, there's always enough, there's never enough, come from childhood and have a vice-like grip on your life, how you think, feel, and behave into adulthood. The next category, your beliefs about life. And I boil this down to one core belief that's this simple. Do you believe life is fair? Period. That has such a profound impact on not only the course of your life, of course, but your mindset, your attitude, and the emotion that you vibe at. If you don't believe life is fair, if you believe life is unfair, you're chronically stuck in a victim mindset, a woe is me mindset, which is starkly different from someone who believes life is fair, full of opportunity. You get what it is you deserve based on how much time, energy, effort, kindness, gratitude you put in an experience. Two totally different mindsets. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. We could even argue parallels with that pretty well. Do you believe life is fair? Do you believe the game of golf is fair? The next category is your beliefs about others. Are other people trustworthy and kind? There's multiple ways we can approach this one. That's what I typically use is, do you believe other people can be trusted and they're kind? Do you believe other people immediately deserve your respect or immediately deserve to have them be seen as the best version of themselves? And that too has a significant impact on your life, because if you operate with the belief that people can't be trusted, people are unkind and don't deserve your respect, you're closed off. You don't ask for help. Versus if you believe people can be trusted, people are kind, I'll add another one, people deserve a second chance, you're much more open-minded, open-hearted, empathetic, kind, willing to help. And again, all this comes back to childhood experiences and upbringing. And then lastly, perhaps most important, are the beliefs you have about yourself. And we can break this down to 3 constituent beliefs. Do you believe you are worthy, deserving, and capable of success, money, love, happiness? I think the better way to frame this is, do you believe you are worthy, deserving, and capable of achieving your goals? And here's where we have to get a bit granular, because you're likely listening to me and thinking, oh, Paul, of course I believe in myself, but do you really? And one of the ways you can really begin to get some clarity there is, how have you performed under pressure? How have you performed in those moments where something was really important to you, an outcome really mattered? On the golf course, a business deal, a job, getting a date, or having someone that you love, accept your engagement, get married. How do you perform in those moments? Do you truly believe you deserve to be there? Because then we can go even further. Does that belief then begin to influence how much you prepare for success when that moment inevitably comes? So we can begin to reverse engineer it, the degree to which you believe in yourself. the degree to which you believe you are worthy, deserving, and capable, not only influences how much success, money, love, or happiness you'll have, it has a significant influence on how much work and preparation you put in. Because if you operate with this lackluster level of belief in yourself, guess what? You're going to put in a lackluster amount of effort and preparation compared to if you have a resounding belief in yourself. I am fucking deserving, worthy, and capable. And maybe the results I desire haven't come yet, but they're destined to come. You are going to work your ass off. You are going to be the most prepared, hardest working individual in the room. And that's incredibly important. So one topic you've likely heard me discuss before, and you've heard it in everyday life, we have beliefs, and some of these beliefs are labeled limiting beliefs. Well, literally because of just that. They limit you. They put this invisible ceiling on how much success, money, love, or happiness you can achieve. And really limiting beliefs begin to show up in your life as stories. They're phrases and stories about what you are capable of. I'm just not good enough to win this tournament. Every time I play this course, I mess up. I can't ever recover from a bad start. I always choke under pressure. I don't deserve to win. I can't hit my driver straight. And if you're listening closely, there were so many absolutes infused into those statements. An absolute meaning a definitive set in stone word choice, always, can't, never. And if you're someone who caught on to that, kudos to you. You've audited your self-talk. You've watched your words wisely. So this begins to beg the question. If I'm aware of the beliefs I have about money, life, others, and myself, the beliefs I currently have about what I am deserving, worthy, and capable of, and I'm not satisfied, what's my next step? How do I go about unlearning these beliefs? Well, with every element and process of change, awareness is a crucial part of the first step. A crucial part of the equation might be the better way to frame that. It's my hope and imagination that hearing the breakdown of these different categories of beliefs, understanding that you're not your beliefs, can go a long way in prompting you to do some deliberate reflection about where your beliefs came from. And some of the best ways to do that include gaining clarity on common phrases about other people, life, success, and money that were constantly shared in your household environment. Beginning to do a deeper dive through the lens of curiosity about each of your parents. What were their beliefs compared to some of the beliefs you have today, specifically the ones that are holding you back, limiting you? Did your parents believe it was okay and safe to have tremendous amounts of success and money? Do you come from a broken family ripe with divorce and multiple marriages and more divorce? How do you think that's influenced your beliefs about love and happiness and whether or not you're worthy, deserving, and capable of having it? So, through this lens of non-judgmental curiosity, we can really lean into grabbing and gaining much more clarity and awareness about the origin of our beliefs. From there, you essentially have two paths you can travel. The first path is a lot, to be frank, of consistent journaling, maybe even counseling or therapy to talk through these beliefs, to change your perspective, to create a new lens, a new frame of reference, if you will. I think at least through the journaling route, and this could also look like meditation, sitting in silence, and even breath work, so long as a specific intention is set with each of these tools and practices. I think more or less one of these should be part of your foundation every single day as someone who is committed to becoming the best version of themselves. they can help accelerate the unlearning of and the adoption, creation of a new belief. The second path, admittedly, quite biased of a path. It is hypnotherapy, a fast, effective way to help you make lasting, rapid change. And the way I like to talk about unlearning beliefs is simply by this. We know that your subconscious is home to your memories, beliefs, emotions, and behaviors. We know that getting into that hypnotic state where you're primarily producing theta brainwaves allows us to sidestep the noise, negativity, nonsense, and judgment of your conscious mind and connect directly with your subconscious mind. Now, if your subconscious is home to memories and emotion, this is very key because a thought that has been given significant time, energy, and attention, as well as emotion, is what ultimately goes on to become a belief. When we have a significantly emotionally charged experience, especially during childhood, when we are emotionally ill-equipped to handle it, we form a belief out of self-protection when something really bad happens to you. And let me rephrase that, because oftentimes we hear this breakdown of trauma. And many of you listening might feel like, I don't have a trauma. Like I had a good childhood. It was okay. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing noteworthy. Well, it's important to recognize it might not be trauma like an assault or an abuse or an immense amount of loss in your life. It could be something as feeling so alone and isolated, moving states and switching to a new school and having zero new friends at the start of the school year when back home you had the best buddies in the world. It can be your best buddies in the world laugh at you for the way you do something. So we can get in a debate, and I don't want to, but I'm just saying we could argue big T versus little t trauma, significant versus insignificant. But the point being, there's multiple moments scattered throughout early childhood, adolescence, and teenage years where you were emotionally ill-equipped to navigate the feelings and emotions you were experiencing in that moment. And as a result, in order to protect you and ensure you never had to feel that big, bad, negative, uncomfortable emotion again, your subconscious works hard and it does everything it can. And one of the ways it might protect you moving forward is by forming a belief state. So through hypnosis, we can uncover when, why, and how you learned to think, feel, and believe, or think, feel, be, and behave a certain way. And that in and of itself creates a powerful opportunity for a perspective shift. In addition to that, we can do the necessary healing and letting go to unlearn said belief, to diffuse the strong emotion once attached to it, so that you can let it go and make room, make space, use this newfound surplus of energy to form the belief that is most aligned with stepping into the next best version of yourself, stepping into next level success. And if you know, and really if you've resonated with this conversation, if you are just picking up what I am putting down, I invite you to schedule a high-performance hypnotherapy discovery call, a mindset coaching discovery call. Learn more. Let's have a conversation about how we can begin to work together to unlearn those beliefs that are holding you back, keeping you stuck in this perpetual cycle of 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, because you are only going to rise to the level that which you believe you are worthy, deserving, and capable of. Period. Hands down, feeling it in your bones, in your soul, you're only going to go that far. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. I sincerely appreciate you being here. And hey, it would mean the world to me if you share this episode. Share it on social media, tag me at the Golf Hypnotherapist, share it with a fellow golfer, share it with just a friend or a loved one who needs to hear this. And if you haven't done so already, taking 30 seconds to leave a genuine rating, review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening, It goes a long way. It not only supports me, but it helps me bring on more high caliber, high profile guests, the ones that you want to learn from, so that all of us can collectively become better people and better golfers. So thank you for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Hit them straight this weekend, and I'll catch you in the next episode.